If you're a cheapo like me, you probably felt like my last every manufacturer video was not exactly applicable. Even the most affordable cars on that list are out of my price range. So this one's for all you guys who asked for it, and this isn't just for fun. This video could actually help you prospective car buyers, though if you're trying to save money, new is basically never the best route. Now, just to clarify, for this one, we are focusing mostly on new vehicles. It's not too difficult to parse out the most expensive car from every manufacturer with inflation factored in. It's almost impossible to know what the cheapest car ever sold from each company is. So we're looking at current lineups and we're focusing on the American market because, well, that's where I'm from and that's where, most of you are from. If you live somewhere where there's a cheaper model, then make sure to let us know in the comments. All right, this is going to be a long one, so let's jump right in where we started in the previous video with American manufacturers. As you probably know, Ford doesn't really sell affordable vehicles anymore, at least not here. And for the most part, that focus is gone here in America and for American manufacturers. Ford sedans are completely gone. It's all SUVs and crossovers and giant trucks. Currently, the base trim Ford Escape is the cheapest option, starting at $29,515. It gets decent reviews, and as a commuter, it's simpler than the other Escapes as it's not hybrid, but still $30K is a pretty decent chunk of change. Like Ford, Lincoln has moved away from all luxury cars and only makes SUVs of varying sizes, the most affordable of which is the Corsair, which by the way is basically just a souped up Escape, and the cheapest version of the Corsair is called the Premier, starting at $39,735. It's got a 2-liter turbocharged engine making 250 horsepower. Now the big question for you Ford Lincoln guys is, do you go with the more basic Lincoln Corsair or do you get the more premium version of the Ford Escape? Let us know in the comments if you've wrestled with this, and this will be a common thing with manufacturers and then their luxury versions of their more simple cars. Now Chevrolet may have also moved away from the affordable sedan market, but in general their crossovers and SUVs are more affordable than their Ford counterparts, with the cheapest being the Trax, which starts at just $20,500. This is built on GM's newer VSSF platform. The Trax was previously on the Gamma 2, which was less refined. This second generation Trax is getting really good reviews, and it's the cheapest vehicle you can currently get from a major American manufacturer. I know $20K is still a lot of money, but when you factor inflation and if you're willing to just go super basic in terms of options, you're getting a brand new car, standard with things like lane assist, all the stuff that people want. You know what's great about this kind of video is I start to notice these cars that would otherwise just be another blob on the road. I just saw one of these the other day because I'm looking at it. Sure, it's not impressing anybody, but if you have the feeling that you need a new car, this seems like a pretty great option, and it's about as cheap as anything else available. Not surprisingly, Buick's cheapest vehicle is also built on that same platform as the Trax and also the Trailblazer. It's called the Envista, and it starts at $24,600. This is essentially just a slightly more refined, spec'd up Trax, nothing too crazy. It's not exactly luxury, but... And can I just say how boring all of this is? Like, I get Americans want SUVs, but good lord, it's all these companies make. It's either SUVs that are just like boring blobs or supercars. There's no in between. GMC's Terrain is their cheapest vehicle. It's built on a larger platform than the previous GM subcompacts. It's basically just a compact SUV. It's funny that this is compact to us in America. Compact used to mean something very different. Anyways, this will run you $29,900. It seats up to 5, has a good amount of tech and features, it has solid reviews, and it's a little less wimpy looking than the previous SUVs that we looked at. For Cadillac, interestingly enough, we actually get some sedans, with the CT4 being the cheapest option and the cheapest Cadillac overall, even over their compact SUVs. This car will run you $35K or more. Now, if you're set on an American luxury sedan, well, Cadillac is your only option, and this one is the cheapest option. I think most experts would recommend that you look to the Germans, even in this price range, but it is still a good option. If you are willing to spend a bit more, the CT4 and CT5V are really where it's at for Cadillac in terms of price to performance ratio. You can even get a manual for the CT4V Blackwing, and that is pretty much unheard of in this space. So good on Cadillac. They have all my respect for at least trying to still just make cool American cars. Now, the Compass is by far Jeep's cheapest vehicle, starting at just $26,900, even less than the outgoing Renegade. Standard all-wheel drive, 200 horsepower. It has pretty decent off-road capability because everybody who buys these is definitely off-roading. By the way, do people actually do off-roading? I know it's a thing, but I've lived in places where it's supposedly really popular and I don't see anyone doing it. Anyways, the Compass is class leading in multiple areas and it's just $27K, so pretty decent option. Aside from the Ram trucks, Dodge makes 3 vehicles, the Charger, the Durango, and the cheapest Hornet, which has a starting MSRP of $31,400. This is a compact crossover SUV built in Italy at the Alfa Romeo plant and based on the Stellantis small wide 4x4 platform shared with the Jeep Compass and also the Alfa Romeo Tonale. Dodge offers it in 2 main configurations, the GT, powered by a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine delivering 268 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque, and then there's also the RT plug-in hybrid, a 1.3-liter turbo with an electric motor and a 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery, for a total of 288 horsepower and 383 foot-pounds of torque. And you know what's interesting is that the goal with this vehicle is characterful driving compact SUV experience. Now, I've not driven one, I don't really see these around much, but if you've had any experience, let us know in the comments. Chrysler is of course now just a van company, which is cool, I guess. The Pacifica actually is, in my opinion, the best looking current minivan. It retains that classic American minivan aesthetic. Now, the cheapest option is actually the Voyager, which starts at $39,995. The Voyager was the cheaper alternative to the Pacifica, but it was only available as a fleet vehicle until this year. It's a more practical, value-packed minivan versus the Pacifica, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want one because our van it's great, but it's getting old, and I wouldn't mind one, but I'm probably gonna have to just stick with my van. Okay, let's take a hard turn from the standard major American manufacturers and look at Shelby. Now, of course, Shelby does more custom builds for Ford, and in our last video, we highlighted the GT500 Code Red. It's actually difficult to parse out the cheapest Shelby because of how they're customized, but $100K is probably the least you'll spend, whether it's on a Shelby F-150 or a Shelby GT. There's also occasionally a Shelby EcoBoost Mustang, which is around $90K. I don't think many people are pinching pennies when it comes to these cars, which is why it's somewhat rare to see Shelbys that aren't pretty tricked out. Now let's look at the American electric brands, starting with, of course, Tesla. And no, Tesla isn't my favorite manufacturer. That was a joke, guys. Anyways, Tesla's cheapest model is, of course, the Model 3 rear-wheel drive, which will run you $38,990 thanks to the federal tax incentive program that is ending. Still no sub 30K Tesla at this point. Now, depending on what you care about in a new car, the Model 3 could either be exactly what you want or not at all what you want. So if safety and advanced tech are important to you, it is pretty tough to beat the Model 3, especially if you can get a used one because they do depreciate like crazy. Now, if long-term reliability is what matters, all of that extra tech doesn't help with reliability. You know, the major components of these cars have proven to be pretty reliable, but it's stuff like touchscreen failures and expensive, complicated tech repairs. I do know they have the, over-the-air software updates, which is cool, but these can have really expensive repairs. So even if the sub 30K Tesla ever comes out, it still is probably going to be better to get a Chevy Trax if, your budget is what you're thinking about. The upcoming R2 and R3 will be Rivian's most affordable vehicles, starting around $37K, but those aren't available. So currently it's the R1T truck that starts at $70,990. These are not cheap, but the R1T and the R1S have pretty insane performance, and they prove that you can do premium electric vehicles without sacrificing at least some level of classic, simple design language. I think they're pretty cool looking. Now, I know $70K is a lot, but real-world range and performance on these is pretty insane. They also hold their value much better than other EVs. They're off-road capable. They feel quality, unlike some electric vehicles in this price range. So I'm curious to see what these more affordable options look like. But for now, the R1T T is the most affordable. This brings us to Lucid, and the Lucid Air Pure is the cheapest option, starting also at $70,900. Again, I know this sounds like a lot, but in terms of performance and range, Lucid is really undercutting Tesla's Model S. You know, the long-range Model S starts north of $90K. Mercedes, Porsche, BMW EVs in this class are also more expensive for what you're getting. Now, I also would love to see Lucid come out with a more affordable model. That could happen, but for now, this is the cheapest. And last, I think we should mention Slate. Now, these vehicles aren't available yet, so it doesn't really count, but also the estimated price for these little EV golf cart things is expected to be around $27K because the $7,500 federal EV tax credit is going away, which really, in my opinion, hurt Slate's marketing. $27K just doesn't sound as good as $20K. And think about what you can get from GM or even something like the Ford Maverick in base trim. There's no competition between, a Ford Maverick and this, but I know these are probably, EV buyers. And, that would make it cheaper than pretty much any EV in the world. Let's head to Japan and start by looking at the most affordable car sold by Toyota. Now that the Yaris is gone, the Corolla is currently the cheapest Toyota available with a starting price of $22,325. As Toyota's entry-level model, it comes with a 169 horsepower, 2-liter inline-4 engine, fuel economy up to 35 miles per gallon. It's got touchscreen, wireless, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. All of Toyota's safety goodies as well come as standard. The Corolla is and always has been a practical, well-equipped subcompact sedan for budget-conscious buyers, though some would argue that actually the 11th generation is probably the way to go. Now for Lexus, the only car available for under $40K is the UX Hybrid, which costs $38,035. Now people really like these. They're obviously more luxurious than what you're getting with affordable Toyotas, but it's also crazy to me that this is supposedly luxury. And even when I scroll through all of Lexus's offerings, they're just all blobs. They don't stand out to me as luxurious. When I see something like this on the road, I don't associate it with luxury. From inside out, it's pretty uninspiring. Even if you drop 80 grand on some Lexus SUVs that are supposed to be really premium, the interior, I don't know, it just looks like an F-150 or something. It's not doing anything for me. All right, Honda better have some good affordable options. For a long time, we owned Honda's cheapest vehicle, the Fit, and we loved it. But apparently Honda wasn't making enough on that car, and sales were in decline because people don't know what a great car is when they see one. So today, the cheapest car you can get from Honda is a regular old Civic, which runs about $24,595. Now, that being said, the Civic is also a good deal for what it offers. Low repair costs, great reliability, all the things that I loved about the Fit is pretty much there on the Civic, except more roomy. All right, with Nissan, we're cooking. The first sub $20,000 car, the Nissan Versa, the legendary budget-friendly commuter that sort of refuses to die. The Versa has made a name for itself as one of the few genuinely cheap new cars that you can still buy, starting at around $17K. It's bare bones in the best way possible, simple, reliable, easy on the wallet. You're not getting anything flashy here. It's just a little small sedan, solid fuel economy, decent tech for the price, and the kind of low running costs that make it a favorite for first-time buyers, Uber drivers, anyone who just needs a car that does the job. So props to Nissan for not killing it like Honda did with the Fit. For Infiniti, the Q50 and QX50 both sit at basically $43K. Infiniti's entire model is to try to offer what the Germans are offering, but at less of an expense for the buyer. If you want premium budget cars or SUVs, Infiniti is probably the way to go. Performance, specs, interior, creature comforts, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I do think that they're pretty overlooked. At $24,360, the Subaru Impreza is currently the cheapest Subaru that money can buy. The latest generation ditched the sedan and it now only comes as a hatchback. It does have a lot of cargo space and a stiffer chassis. It's not the iconic affordable sports car that it used to be, but it's practical, safe, and built to handle bad weather better than just about anything else under 25 grand because it has all-wheel drive. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly daily driver that can handle pretty much anything, the Impreza really does punch above its weight. The great Mazda 3. This is Mazda's Porsche's cheapest new car with a starting MSRP of $24,150. While the current Mazda 3 is meant to be a sensible, stylish, compact car, its lineage actually traces back to Mazda's rally era. The Mazda 323 and Protégé GLC models of the 80s and 90s drew heavily from motorsports and rallying roots, and Mazda even fields a race-prepared Mazda 3 TCR in IMSA competition today. In other words, this entry-level Mazda has legit performance DNA, and owners will tell you it's a fun car, and that's why people love it. $16,695. That's what a Mitsubishi Mirage will cost you, plus some fees and taxes and stuff like that. Now, with this one, forget about performance, forget about luxury. This is the cheapest car that you can get here in the US, plain and simple. It's slow, but it's dependable. Here's the thing though, it's on its way out. So if you're needing a new car, go snag one of these up. The Versa will be the cheapest option for you when the Mirage is gone. Under $17K for a new vehicle is pretty insane. Before we go to Germany, let's look at the three main South Korean manufacturers. For Hyundai, the cheapest car that you can get is the Venue with a sticker price of $20,200. This car has a surprising amount of modern technology for such a cheap package. A 1.6-liter four-cylinder engine making 121 horsepower, over 30 miles per gallon, touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, forward collision warning, lane assist, all that good stuff, even on the base SE trim. It's not fast or necessarily fun, but with Hyundai's warranty and this low price point, this is a great option for those of you that want to be in that $20K or under budget. For Genesis, which is Hyundai's luxury division, the G70 is the cheapest option with an MSRP of $42,500. This is clearly aimed at the BMW 3 Series, and while it might not have quite the same badge appeal, it comes with a lot of standard features that the Germans usually charge extra for. The G70 is one of the only entry-level luxury sedans that still offers rear-wheel drive as standard. Most rivals like the Audi A4 and Volvo S60 default to front or all-wheel drive, which makes the G70 feel a bit more like, an old-school luxury sports sedan. Not too surprisingly, Kia's cheapest vehicle is the Soul, with a price tag of $20,490. The Soul is oddly spacious for its size. Its tall, boxy shape gives it more headroom and cargo flexibility than you'd expect at this price bracket. Many of these smaller crossovers and subcompact SUVs feel so small on the inside. The Soul has also become something of a city driving cult classic. It's not pretty, but at least it's not just another blob. It's unique, and low running costs and that spaciousness makes it really one of the preferred options at roughly $21K. For the Germans, let's start with Volkswagen. The Jetta is the cheapest VW that you can buy in the US today, with a starting MSRP of $22,495 for the base model Jetta. Now, I owned a Jetta, but it was from 2015. I believe that's the previous generation from today's. They're solid little cars for the price. If you want an entry into German motoring, it's a decent route to go. Some owners complain about it having a jerky transmission, which honestly, I kind of felt that with our 2015. So make sure to give it a good drive before you buy it. Porsche's cheapest vehicle is the Macan, I don't know how to say it, and it's $64,600. This is Porsche's compact luxury, SUV meant to compete with the other European offerings. Most say that this is the most car-like SUV that you can buy. It's got sharp handling. Some call it the 911 of SUVs. So enthusiasts who care about the drive really love this one. It's definitely an understated Porsche. I will say this, I do think it would be cool if Porsche made a less powerful, more affordable sports car, a step down from the 718, maybe even revive some old name, call it a 356 or whatever. 200 horsepower, make it their, $45K Miata killer. That's what I want to see from Porsche. They would probably sell a gajillion of them. The cheapest new BMW sold in the US for 2025 is the 2 Series, specifically the 228i Grand Coupe or Coupe, with a starting MSRP of about $39,600. This is the only BMW priced under $40K. That $40K price point is kind of a psychological threshold for buyers, so this is pretty cool. Now listen, I'm sure people love this car car, people do, but God, what happened to BMW's styling? These cars are so ugly compared to the great, even affordable luxury sedans from BMW through the 80s and 90s. One of the big things with BMWs was that they were immediately recognizable, and I guess the giant grille is kind of a modern giveaway, but this thing looks like it could come from any company. I don't know. If you told me this was a new Ford Taurus, I would believe you. So, sure. The GLA, which starts at $43K, is Mercedes' most affordable car. Well, shocker, it's actually an SUV, not a car. I'm so sick of SUVs. You can have this SUV in white or black or gray or even red. It's turbocharged, but still gets worse gas mileage than most cars from the 90s. The interior looks kind of luxurious. Like most of the affordable entries into these luxury brands, people complain that they're not actually luxurious. They don't give you that Mercedes vibe that you expect. I know I'm an old head, but hear me out. For a fraction of the price, you can get a top-of-the-line Mercedes S-Class from the early 2000s, let's say. Peak Mercedes, or you can go 90s. Real luxury and real comfort on another level from these cheap luxury SUVs from today. Reliability, serviceability, way more cool factor. Just buy it, service it regularly, save a crap ton of money, and hand it down to your kids someday. Let's jump over to some British manufacturers, starting with Jaguar. Well, apparently Jaguar is undergoing a seismic change. Basically, their website stinks. Whatever this change is, I don't think it's going to include making more affordable vehicles. For current models, the E-Pace is the cheapest at $49,500. E-Pace would make you think it's electric, right? Well, no. I've spent like 10 minutes on this absolute crap website, and I cannot get any actual meaningful information about this vehicle. So I just Googled it. You guessed it, a subcompact luxury SUV. Yay. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to get the cheapest vehicle from one of these, luxury brands, because these vehicles go against the very idea of luxury. I mean, the way that they make these cars cheaper is by doing faux luxury things like faux materials, cheaper powertrains. You're paying for just a badge at this point. You're much better off getting a $40,000 high-end SUV from a non-luxury manufacturer. But if you're about status, people knowing that you're driving a Jaguar or whatever, I'm not sure what you're thinking because nobody notices these. I cannot tell that this is a Jaguar. It doesn't stand out at all. It just looks like it could be anything. I have no idea. Okay, now I'm on to Land Rover, and also, what is going on with this website? Apparently, the Discovery Sport and the Range Rover Evoque both cost $49,900. These are basically the same vehicle though. Both have the transverse setup that Land Rover is using. The main difference though is styling and the fact that you can also get a third row in the Discovery Sport, which is apparently completely useless. Reviews are mixed on these vehicles. People like the Range Rover, Land Rover image. People buy these SUVs because they do look good compared to other options. They carry that prestige, but they're not really known for being reliable or for the best value. So skip these ones. All right, the most affordable new Aston Martin currently is the Vantage, often considered the entry point to the brand with a starting price in the $150K range in the US. This car packs a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 sourced from AMG, pushing up to 656 horsepower in this latest version. It's rear-wheel drive, brutally fast, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. It's got this muscular look. Now, pricier rivals offer more tech or all-wheel drive. The Vantage stands out as kind of a raw, old-school, classic front-engine sort of muscle luxury car, and owners love this kind of analog driving feel that I would say is getting pretty rare in these segments, so very cool on Aston Martin. The cheapest car you can get from Bentley Motors is the Bentayga, specifically the base, which is generally hybrid, which starts around $197,300. For context, other Bentley models like the Flying Spur begin around $218K or more. The Continental GT is even more. Luxury SUV buyers really forced Bentley to make this, but it's now their best-selling model. Though significantly cheaper than most Bentleys, you still get that Bentley treatment, handcrafted luxury, advanced tech, and despite being big, it does have a decent driving feel. At least that's what people say. It's kind of got an old school luxury charm. And listen, this is what I'm saying. The real luxury buyers know, and they spend $200K plus for it. They want the old school luxury. They want thick quality leather, all that stuff that high-end luxury cars from the 90s or 2000s had. Something like a V12 Toyota Century, for example, can be had for so little money, and that is a real luxury car. So all I'm saying is those of you who have some money, educate yourself on what real luxury is. It's not just a name thrown on a subcompact SUV. It's a Bentley. Go buy a Bentley, guys. You know what real luxury is? Having your website use a circle for the cursor. That is real luxury. Rolls-Royce's most affordable offering is the 2025 Ghost Series 2 with a starting price of around $357,750. Designed as the entry point into Rolls' lineup, the Ghost trades none of the brand's signature craftsmanship or presence. It's got a 6.75-liter twin-turbo V12. It glides on advanced suspension systems that scan the road ahead. It cocoons its passengers in hand-stitched leather, real wood, and near total silence. Unlike the more chauffeur-focused Phantom, the Ghost is aimed at actual owners who want to actually drive, though apparently it still feels more like, driving a yacht down the road than a car. It's pretty understated by Rolls-Royce standards, but still pretty opulent, and every inch of it is tailored to deliver what the brand calls effortless luxury. So if you have $350K lying around, it's a good choice. The most affordable brand new McLaren that you can buy in the US today is the GTS with a starting MSRP of approximately $224,400, around 630 plus horsepower, 0 to 60 in a little over 3 seconds, over 200 miles per hour top speed. Now, the last two options were what you would get for $200K or more in terms of luxury. This is what it gets you for performance. Compared to Porsches at this price, I would say it is more of a supercar experience, but there's actually quite a lot in that $200K range to consider. Like, I don't know, a starter home? Wait, who am I kidding? You can't get a starter home for that. Okay, back to reality. The most affordable Mini that you can get is the standard two-door Mini Cooper at $29,500. For reference, in 1959, the original Austin Mini was 497 pounds, which is roughly 17,000 US dollars today. Just saying. 30K. That's what the base Mini is. The modern Mini Cooper is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing about 160 horsepower, paired exclusively to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic. Manual transmissions are no longer offered for this car. Now, it still has that go-kart feel, but I think the price is a bit much. And it's sad to me because I think that this car and higher spec versions of it should exist as fun alternatives to the Miata, but because they don't come with a manual, which is just sad, they're not really in that space in my opinion. Lotus is a weird one as they transition to all-electric hypercar crap. So the Emira is the last bit of Lotus DNA that lives on, but not for long. And it's also the most affordable Lotus that you can buy, starting at around $102,000. It blends classic Lotus handling with modern comfort, a mid-engine layout, razor-sharp steering, and a choice between a 400 horsepower Toyota-sourced V6 or a turbocharged AMG inline-4. Unlike past Lotuses, the Emira has a refined interior, touchscreen tech, and daily drivability without losing all of its raw analog feel. This is a purist sports car, and I guess I don't know the market like these companies, but to me it just seems sad for Lotus because this is such a cool car. It seemed like, I don't know, this could be their path forward. They could just make cars like this, but for some reason they just have to make electric hypercars. I don't know. For Caterham, the 84 horsepower 170 will cost you about 29,490 pounds or just under 40K US dollars. 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds, just over 100 miles per hour top speed. What more do you need from a car? These cars are so cool. I do wish that they made a sub 30K version, but they're a small company and these are essentially hand-built sports cars. The 170 is designed to be as close to the original Colin Chapman formula as possible. Simplify, then add lightness. And this one is under 1,000 pounds. Crazy stuff for a modern street legal car. No power steering, no ABS, just raw classic sports car feel. I would love to experience one of these, but sadly they're not available here in the US, which I'm realizing I guess I shouldn't have included it. Oh well. What is available in the US is Morgan cars. The cheapest new Morgan car available in the US is the Super 3, starting at about 54K. It's a quirky open-air three-wheeler powered by a 1.5-liter Ford 3-cylinder engine, with 118 horsepower and a 5-speed manual, giving a raw mechanical driving experience unlike anything on the road. Weighing just around 1,400 pounds, this one is also all about lightness, analog feel, and vintage charm, with none of the modern distractions, or as few of them as possible. Legally classified as a motorcycle, this is just pure motoring. I wish it was cheaper, but I mean, $54K is a lot on paper, but it's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the cheapest cars from every major Italian manufacturer, starting with Ferrari. While the Ferrari Roma Coupe is no longer available in the US, they still offer the Roma Spider, and it's currently their entry-level model. The convertible remains orderable through roughly 2026, though its price sits well above the Coupe's original starting price. It now costs $272,970. So ultimately, the cheapest route into a brand new Ferrari is that Spider version, though it's heavier on the wallet than before and could soon be succeeded by the Amalfi, which is Ferrari's new Grand Touring Coupe. It's going to cost probably a bit more. The Roma Spider isn't the best if you're after specs and performance per dollar, but you've got that horse badge, which does mean something. The Lamborghini Urus SE currently holds the title as their most affordable new model in the US, with a starting MSRP of about $262,000 for 2025. Branded as a super SUV, the Urus comes equipped with a plug-in hybrid 4-liter twin-turbo V8, making 789 horsepower. Electrically assisted acceleration brings you to 3.4 seconds from 0 to 60 and top speeds of almost 200 miles per hour. This thing is all about blending performance with daily utility. It's also got off-road modes, 4 doors, high seating position, and it's a Lambo. Pretty cool. The Fiat 500e is the cheapest new Fiat that you can buy in the US, and actually the only one at around $30K. It's a tiny electric city car with just 149 miles of range and a single front-mounted motor making 117 horsepower. It's slow, it's got very little cargo space, not exactly a highway cruiser, but it's easy to park. Many find it fun around town, and it has that quirky retro charm that Fiat is known for. So if you're into weird little EVs and you don't need to go far, it's a pretty decent option. The Alfa Romeo Tonale is currently the most affordable new Alfa Romeo available in the US, with a price starting at around $36,500 for the standard gas-powered version. It's a compact crossover, but it's got a little bit of Italian flair. Interesting styling, apparently, good European driving feel, but it's built on the shared Stellantis underpinnings that apparently give it, kind of a budget feel compared to its premium rivals. It'll do 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. Not all that impressive. In many ways, it's not really a proper Alfa in that it strays from the Alfa formula, but there it is. It's an option. For Maserati, the Grecale SUV with a starting price of $77,900 is the most affordable Maserati available. It's a bit of a mixed bag in the luxury compact crossover world. Some people like it. It has the optional 530 horsepower V6. It sounds really good, hard acceleration, but still most reviewers have found this SUV to be a bit flat compared to its rivals at this price point. The Porsche Macan, I think that's how you say it, Macan? I don't know. All by itself as the lone Scandinavian automaker selling cars here in the US, Volvo's cheapest offering is the XC40, which will cost you about $41,945. Sadly, Volvo is positioned as a more premium brand these days. The days of cool, quirky, affordable cars is pretty much gone for manufacturers, and this one's no different. I'm not sure what to say about the XC40. It's modern, it's usable, it's hard to not feel like Volvo, though, has lost its identity, but I get it. You gotta pay the bills. And boring, expensive SUVs is the way to pay the bills, apparently. All right, let's talk about some hypercars. I'm curious, of all the hypercar brands, which company do you think will have the most affordable option? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see if you're right. Interestingly enough, of Bugatti's 3 available current models, the new Tourbillon, meant to replace the Chiron, is the cheapest at just $4.1 million. This car brings in a new era with the V16 hybrid powertrain. Yes, 16 cylinders and no turbos. It's the first Bugatti developed under Rimac influence. It's all about brutal performance, but with intricate craftsmanship, including a watch-inspired analog instrument cluster. Limited to just 250 units and starting at $4.1 million, still the cheapest Bugatti, which is pretty crazy. Now, the most affordable modern production Koenigsegg is the Gemera. This 4-seater Mega GT combines a twin-turbo 2-liter 3-cylinder engine dubbed dubbed the tiny friendly giant, with 3 electric motors for a jaw-dropping 1,700 horsepower, starting at around 1.7 million before tax. This is the entry point into Koenigsegg's current lineup, undercutting even its 2-seat hypercar siblings like the Jesko and the CC850. I know this is tough to comprehend, but this is kind of a deal in the hypercar world, and right now it's the cheapest hypercar on the list so far. Let's see if Pagani can beat Koenigsegg. The Utopia Coupe is actually the brand's most affordable car, though affordable is relative when the price starts at 2.2 million. This one stays true to Pagani's philosophy of blending extreme performance with sculptural design. Under the hood is a Mercedes-AMG twin-turbo V12 making over 850 horsepower, paired with a manual or automated manual gearbox for a raw analog feel. This is an entry point to the Pagani world. You can spend triple this on a Pagani, but like all their cars, it's still a hand-built work of art. Now, Hennessy's only full production car available is the Venom F5, and its least expensive trim is the base coupe, originally priced at 1.6 million for early orders, and marketed now around 2 or more million for the remaining units. This coupe is rear-wheel drive, powered by a twin-turbo 6.6-liter V8, producing 1,817 horsepower, giving it a 0 to 60 of roughly 2.5 seconds and a top speed above 300 miles per hour. Though several other variants like the Roadster and Revolution are offered, they're quite a bit higher, so this base coupe is the most affordable Venom F5 model available. Rimac only offers the Navara, and its base price is 2.2 million. Of course, this is their fully electric hypercar that they've been making since 2022. Unbelievable numbers. I talked about this car quite a bit in my other video on this. For SSC, the most affordable current model is the base SSC Tuatara Coupe. Its original price was around 1.6 million, with the figure rising to about 1.9 million when equipped with high downforce, track pack, or other options. But 1.6 million as the base is the cheapest so far on this list, $100,000 less than the Koenigsegg. Despite its relatively lower price, it is no slouch. Powered by a bespoke 5.9-liter twin-turbo V8, it generates 1,350 horsepower on pump fuel. E85 brings it up to 1,750 horsepower, 0 to 60 in about 2.5 seconds, and it has a theoretical top speed of over 300 miles per hour, though there's some drama with all that. There are a few other hypercar manufacturers. De Tomaso currently has one production car and it's 2 million, but the SSC base level Tuatara takes the win for the most affordable hypercar. Now, it's interesting the way in which these brands position themselves and their affordable entries, and I think the reality is $40K spent on a premium car from a more budget-friendly brand probably gets you as much or more than, say, an entry-level car from a more premium luxury company, because, of course, you're paying for the badge. In the end, though, the real winner is the Mitsubishi Mirage at under 17K. Listen, don't kill these cars, Mitsubishi. Or Nissan. Don't kill the Versa the way that Honda killed the Fit. I know that maybe less people are buying them, but the people who do buy them need them. So keep making affordable vehicles for those of us who aren't willing to have a $700 car payment. Even if they don't make you a lot of money, they're good for your brand and good for the world. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Which car would you go for? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one. Drive safe.